Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome back to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. You're in the right spot if you're looking to work smarter and not harder, and if you're looking to increase the average sale price of a home you represent by utilizing the best tools and resources that are available to agents today. I'm really excited about today's guest, but before I introduce Jim, I do want to remind you, if you missed a previous episode, don't worry. You can go to iTunes or Stitcher, look up Luxury Listing Specialist, or you can go directly to luxurylistingpodcast.com, luxurylistingpodcast.com, and you'll find all the information that you need right there. With that being said, let's get right into things. I'm really excited to have today's guest on the show, and I'd like to give everybody a little background of where I first heard about the guest. So I attended the Keller Williams Luxury Conference. I believe it was in May in Washington, D.C. this year, and this gentleman, Jim Park, spoke, and he did an amazing job talking a little bit about how luxury is global, and he really articulated the message and used a lot of great visuals, which I recommend to any agent working with buyers or sellers. You got to have good visuals and be able to tell the story, and Jim did an amazing job. So I have, on today's show, we have Jim Park from Marquee International team, KW Realty. Jim, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for blocking off time. I know your time is valuable, as is all our guests and the listeners. So tell everybody a little bit about your story, and you're involved in investing, and you helped found an organization around 15 years ago. So if you would give everybody just a quick 1 to 2 minute background before we go into luxury is global, and talk a little bit about some of the things that the audience is looking forward to.
Sure, I'll just do a quick recap. My background is pretty diverse when it comes to real estate and finance business. I started out my career 30 years ago as a lobbyist on housing, affordable housing issues in Washington, D.C. I spent a number of years working on different policy issues that impact low-wealth communities, as well as real estate. I worked at FHA, I worked at Freddie Mac, and spent a number of years doing some of those work. Then later on I moved, started a asset management business, REO asset management business, during the massive downturn that everyone was feeling a little more than 10 years ago, and built that to a fairly large asset management company. We managed real estate REO assets for some of the biggest institutions in the world, and also at the same time I had a ownership interest in a number of real estate companies in about 5 different states, and so we've sort of built the real estate business that way. But at the same time, a little before, I helped to start an organization called Asian Real Estate Association of America, which is a business trade organization focused on serving the Asian American market better in the United States and globally. And that organization celebrates its 15th year this year, 17,000 member plus. 39 chapters throughout North America, including 2 in Canada. And so it's a vibrant, great organization. It's a great networking place, but it's also a great place for education and knowledge development. So, I would really suggest that people look into that. They can look at it up by just going to area.org, areaa.org. But right now, along with a few other businesses, right now I have one that I am sort of very passionate about. I just started. It's under the KW expansion operation. We're starting a started a organization, an entity called Marquise International Team. It's currently operating out of Boston, Orange County. We're about to launch something in New York City over the next couple of months, and several more major markets to come before the end of the year. And the idea behind that, the team here is, under KW, is we're recruiting and building individuals who want to be not only a prolific agent, but to build a business, build a team that can support the growing demands of international buyers, not only from residential sales perspective, but many of them are these high net worth individuals are looking to invest, they're looking to develop, and there are a lot of other business opportunities that we can support. So that's what we're trying to do under the Marquise International team structure, expansion structure in all the key markets throughout the country. So, and for instance, one of the things that we're doing is in the next couple of months, we'll be going out to Hong Kong and potentially Singapore as well, meeting with high net worth consumers, investors, and to talk about different opportunities that are here in the United States.
Okay. Well, a couple of things. First off, thank you for the background. For those of you that missed the URL that he referenced for Asian Real Estate Association of America, or AREAA.org, it's AREAA.org. You can find out more about the Asian Real Estate Association of America, 39 chapters, as you mentioned. So all the information should be at that website. Correct, Jim?
That's right. It'll be on that site.
Awesome. Well, good. Well, first off, thank you for the little background. I think it's really important to know who your guest is. So as I mentioned, Jim and I met at the Keller Williams Luxury Conference this past May 2018, and he talked about how luxury is global, and you've heard that a lot. One of the things that you talked a little bit about at that conference is you talked about luxury as a strategy, and you referenced the Ritz-Carlton experience as an example. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. People talk about being in the luxury business or global business as it relates to real estate, and they think it means you go maybe dress a little nicer, get a fancier car, or get a better. But it really, at the end of the day, you have to build a strategy and a way of engaging your clients, building out your client base in a different way. And so one of the examples I used was Ritz-Carlton. Everyone knows when they go to a Ritz-Carlton, they know what the experience is going to be. They know it's going to be outstanding customer service. They know the when you go in, it has a certain feel. But most importantly, you know how the workers, the people that are in that building, how they're going to treat you and how they're going to engage you. And it leaves you with an impression that is very different than walking into any other hotel. And but that wasn't by mistake. It wasn't by just chance that that's happened. Ritz-Carlton, years and years ago, this was, I believe it was sort of in the 80s, they started, the CEO at that point started a strategy to say, hey, I want every employee to have ownership about the customer experience. And so they allocated to each staff, doesn't matter what role you had, they allocated $2,000 per day to create the right experience. So if something went wrong, they had the ability to fix it immediately. They didn't have to run it up the chain. They didn't have to get approval. They had the ability to make things right. And that sense of empowerment and sense of focus back to the employees really turned into the way the staff, the employees of Ritz-Carlton, how they interact with guests. And that's why when you go, you get greetings by name. They try to anticipate your need. You don't have to ask for things. You generally know they're going to be on top of things. And that clear and very simple strategy that they laid out has turned into one of the top customer experience entities in the country, and if not the world.
That's awesome. So again, being proactive, anticipating the needs, greeting by name, having a clear and simple system, right? It's basically like a franchise, right? I mean, you can't start a certain restaurant and a franchise and say, you know what, I'm going to change the colors, I'm going to do things differently. The Ritz-Carlton experience, it's a clear and simple strategy, and the culture and the employees have bought in. So I thought that was a good reminder when you're building a team, when you're building a franchise, when you're building an independent brokerage, if you're a solo agent, having a strategy in place, treating people the way they want to be treated, being consistent, that's how you earn referrals, because we talk about it's very difficult. If you're an agent that you don't specialize in high-end or luxury homes, it's difficult to penetrate that luxury circle of trust. To use that Robert De Niro analogy from Meet the Parents, it's tough to penetrate that circle of trust. And so if you do, and when you do, and you have that high-end client or that luxury listing, if you do a great job, you've set that bar. They're going to refer you to others, but you have to keep that bar, right? It's a clear and simple strategy. You got to treat them the same way if they refer it, because if you do a bad job, just like a restaurant recommendation or a poor recommendation, if you say stay away in a bad review, if you do a bad job, it's going to be very difficult to earn the trust again.
Yeah, and I think it's trust and level of expectation. So when you talk about luxury business or global business, now they're not always the same, but there are different expectations that come with trying to build your business around each of those things. And so it's not, at some point when you deal with ultra high net worth individual, it's not just a transaction at that point. It becomes other lifestyle choices and things that are more than just buying a home. They're buying other things. They're buying where they live, the amenities that are available nearby, and all those things that make up what the needs of that client is. Just like Ritz-Carlton anticipates needs of their clients, you have to do the same when you deal with certain categories of clientele. So you have to prepare for it. You can't just stumble upon it, because as you say, once you lose that, you're not going to get it back. It only takes literally takes a few seconds to have that first impression, but to rebuild that impression, if it's the wrong impression, to rebuild that, it takes what they say is another 50 encounters to rebuild that reputation. So that first one is really important. So if you're going to do this, do it right out of the gate.
Very good. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the global buyers. So one of the slides, which by the way we will make slides available to those that are listening to the podcast, but one of the slides that they'll get is talking about how there was, according to NAR, $153 billion in global buyer purchases last year in the U.S., which is a 49% year-over-year increase. And the top 5 countries were China, in order: China, Canada, the U.K., Mexico, and India. And the top 5, so let me repeat that, top 5 countries that global buyers purchases came from. China was number 1, just over $31 billion. Canada was second at $19 billion, UK at $9.5 billion, Mexico was fourth at $9.3, and India was fifth at $7.8 billion. Do you want to speak to that before we talk about the top 5 states they actually purchased?
Yeah, I mean, it's been consistently those 5 for the last number of years. Traditionally, over the years, it's been Canada who's been the biggest purchaser of U.S. real estate. But several years back, China overtook them by a big margin, and now you see China being the dominant purchaser in the U.S. real estate market, 31 plus billion. But that doesn't include other things, commercial real estate and land and other things that are being acquired. So many of these same individuals are buying not only real estate, but they're doing other investments into the U.S. as well. Canadians have traditionally bought real estate. It's our close neighbor, And many individuals have used the acquisition as really a second home purchase, snowbirds and so on. So anyway, those numbers, the number of the amount of real estate transactions from foreign buyers have certainly moved up. We've always had a robust market for international buyers, but it's gotten even bigger, I think, in the recent years.
Hey there, it's Michael LaFido. Thanks again for listening to our podcast. If you are interested in signing up for our Luxury Listing Specialist certification, or if you want additional information on how you can dominate selling higher-end homes in your marketplace, make sure you go to luxurylistingspecialist.com. Then the 5 states that those buyers are buying, number 1 is Florida, number 2 is Texas, number 3, California, number 4, New Jersey, and number 5, Arizona. Out of those top 5, I anticipated probably 4 out of those 5. Jersey was, that caught me by surprise the first time you shared this. But Florida, number 1, California was 2nd. Top 5 states for international buyers. California was 3rd. So Florida, Texas, California, Jersey was 4th, and Arizona 5th. Has that been pretty consistent? I know Florida, California, Texas. Any of those kind of new to that top 5 list, in your opinion?
No, I mean, I think the New Jersey experience is. You also have a little bit of the boroughs nearby. So there's a lot of transaction obviously going on in New York City and across the river in New Jersey. New Jersey obviously has become more affordable. Has been more affordable than New York. So you've seen some overflow because of that. But yeah, I think Florida has always had a large number of transactions. In Florida, the buyers are a little different, right? It's from South America, Latin America, Europe, Middle East, and so on. There traditionally hadn't been that much from Asia into Florida, but that's starting to change. So I think for the first time I've seen the numbers out of China into Florida go up, which traditionally has been close to 0. So you're seeing some diversification of buyers into Florida as well. And but Florida is a big international market. If you go to South Florida, if you go to Miami, more than 50% of the transaction in downtown Miami, the high-rise condos are all foreign buyers. So that's probably the highest percentage of any market out there. Texas, Texas is buyers from all over. People from China as well as Mexico and other countries have begun to buy a lot into Texas. It's a business-friendly market, so there's a lot of the kind of employment that's moving in that way. So you also see some of that being the impetus for many people moving and buying into Texas. So, and California has always been one of the top, but it's more biased towards Pacific Rim purchasers. Although you do have people from Mexico and Canada acquiring into California as well.
Well, where specifically they're buying, what other states from each country. That's one of the slides that you'll share. We don't have time to cover that today, but it's a really informative slide where basically from, Canada, top 5 states, the Canadians are buying, top 5 states, Chinese are buying, India, Mexico, and UK. That's a very informative slide as well. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about is the international buyers purchase expensive homes. So one of the things that we teach in our certification and our trainings is that there's 4 price points in every market. There's entry-level homes, there's your average-priced homes, there's high-end homes, which we define as 2 times whatever the average sale price is for your given market, and then there's luxury homes, which we define as 3 times whatever your average sale price is for your given market. So really owning the numbers is important. But the one thing that I found really, it just verified what I already thought, was that the average purchase price of the international buyer was definitely, above the average sale price, right? It was more on the high end and luxury, and it was basically double that of the U.S. domestic average. All international buyers were pretty much double, so they averaged what I would define as high end, and that's according to NAR as well. A very informative slide that you share where you break down, China was number one. Their average purchase price was just over $781,000. Next was the UK at $741, then Canada was third at $560. India was fourth at $522, and then Mexico at $326 average sale price, or average purchase price, I should say. So, really, really good data there. You want to speak to anything there?
No, that's why obviously, but the title of my presentation was, luxury is global and global is luxury. It's that theme, right? International buyers are more likely to buy more expensive homes. Typically, when people are buying homes outside of their own country, they're going to be generally high net worth individuals, right? So it's so that by definition will drive the pricing up. The Chinese consumers and buyers pay the most. They go after the higher price homes. But it's also because of the markets they go after as well, because they do buy a lot in high price states and markets like California and New York and so on. So that's why it kind of puts the numbers up. But the U.S. average is about $270,000 is the average purchase price for U.S. average. But if you look at international, as you said, it's double that number. So definitely, if you want to build a clientele that is both global and luxury and high net worth, then international is one aspect of it, certainly, that you can focus on. But it does come with other obligations in terms of how you work with those parties and the knowledge base that you have to kind of walk in with.
Yep, very, very good. Talk to me a little bit about cultivating that global clientele. So understanding the culture and anticipating needs and the rules, whether it be written or unsaid. Any kind of resources that you want to share, or anything that you can share with the audience that perhaps doesn't have an experience of working with global clientele?
Yeah, you know what? There's and I'm going to probably mess up the name of the book, but it's written by a wonderful individual, Terry Morrison. Kiss, Bow, and Shake Hands, I believe, is the title of the book. And it's a very extensive book about kind of how you conduct business from people from different parts of the world. And and obviously you may not be able to have the time to learn the unique characteristics and engagement of different individuals from all around the globe, but you may say, hey, I'm in Florida and these are the top 5 buyers. I'm going to focus on that. And then you have to kind of understand the business that they're in, right? And how they go about conducting their business. You certainly do not want to offend people or turn people off unintentionally. So I think it's important to understand the culture, understand what they need from you as a foreign buyer. Now, they're looking for you. Obviously, they're not living here. They're looking for you to be the eyes and ears for them as they look to buy. Typically, they don't come and they don't have months and months to look at properties. So when they come, they want to look at it in a very tight time period, and so you have to just be ready. So you got 2 days. How many listings are you going to line up to check out? And you have to really hone in on what they want, because you don't have any time to waste. And if they leave after 2 days of looking at a bunch of properties and you didn't really show them what they want, they may not be back for months and months. And so it's really important to not only understand the culture, but understand exactly what their needs are and build the list of properties that you want to show them that you think has the highest probability of being purchased. So those are sort of very important things, because you miss that window and then you potentially lose out on the sale opportunity.
Good advice. Thank you. For anybody that would like to get more information about or get in contact with you, we already talked about, for more information on Asian Real Estate Association of America, or for short, AREAA, they can go to areaa.org. But for anyone that might want to reach out to you, find out more about your expansion model or just some of the information you shared today, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you, Jim?
Yeah, they can get a hold of me. Just reach out to me on my by email. My email is jim@marquesinternational.com, and I'll put that into the slide that you'll share with the listeners. And absolutely, if they're interested in the business model we're building out, or they're interested in just asking some questions or giving some suggestions on places to go to learn the business, this segment of the business, and helping them build out their business strategy, I'm happy to do those things as well. So anyway, it's a great opportunity. Obviously, this international business, my view is it is going to continue to move up. The world is becoming more global, and I do think real estate is right along with it. So.
Very good. Very good. Social media. Can you talk to me maybe about social media at all? Whether it be, WeChat or, some of the social media apps, that are out there, or apps that are out there that perhaps would help as well.
Yeah, and I mean, there's obviously, whether it's WeChat or Kakao, or there's a lot of other social media or communications tool that are out there that are used by folks from different parts of Asia. I think it's, depending on the clientele you're looking to cultivate, you do have to get on those platforms. You have to communicate the way your clients prefer. So I would certainly make sure to do that. It doesn't really take much to research, like, what's the preferred tool. So if you're working with Chinese consumers, you better get on WeChat, right? Kakao, a lot of Asian countries use it, but Koreans tend to use that. So it just depends, which market you're focused on. You do have to kind of, my view is international it's not a monolith. It's very different. And so it requires you to learn and to build a strategy that can meet the needs of those consumers, and be, I would say, just be precise about who you want to go after and who you want to serve. And it's not like you can open up the door and say, I'm an international agent. That doesn't always work. You have to know the customs, the tax laws, real estate rules of different countries, so that you can help really be the knowledge that they need and the comfort they need to have in order to purchase a relatively expensive real estate. So that's what I do. A lot of homework, but that's the fun part of learning new things and cultivating a new client base.
Mm-hmm. Good advice there. Communicate with clients the way they want to be communicated with or communicated to. That's a simple reminder. Not just whether it be apps or social media, but also if they prefer email and you prefer text. Communicate with your clients the way they prefer to be communicated with as well. So, with that being said, thank you, Jim. Great information. Again, make sure you download the slides as well. Thank you for sharing that, Jim. For more information on our certification, if you're looking to work smarter, not harder, increase your average sale price, you can go to luxurylistingspecialist.com. We're about to release some webinars, on-demand webinars as well, where you can find out more information. You can text LUX to 72,000. Text LUXE to 72000, and we'll include a bunch of freebies and bonus items for you. But we'll also get you information on that webinar where you can learn more about increasing your average sale price and working smarter, not harder. As always, if you have any questions specifically about this podcast, or you want to nominate somebody else that you think would be a great contributor, you can send me an email to michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. Remember, it's not the market, it's the marketing. Keep raising the bar and enjoy the rest of your summer. Until next time, talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.